Track number 1 is Chismiten.
Chismiten.
It sounded more German than anything. Chismiten.
I know. So this track, actually, the whole album kind of starts off with kind of some random background, and I kind of consider them farm noises.
Yep, me too.
And someone walking up. It has that Clot 2 opening feel with calling occupants almost, and I love it. Walking through the grass, clipping it, a little bit. Very cool way to kind of start off, especially when you're talking about something like what he's talking about his homeland and stuff.
Yeah, and to me, what I like about this in general is just it kind of signals an intent that there is some intention to this album, kind of starting off with this walking. You can hear the roosters, you can hear the wings flutter a little bit. So it's really signifying that they're crafting this album, that Mdou's crafting this album, not just throwing a bunch of random songs onto this album. And then about 18 seconds in, we get the first peak of the guitar, and it's really that pronounced, unique tone. It's got a chime to it, and it's melodic, but it's not traditional in the Western musical sense of that major minor tone. There's some little different tones in there that really kind of make it its own unique sound, and very like semblance of the Saharan rock sound.
Yeah, definitely. I said, ooh, Van Saharan pulls in, because it's very shreddish, but it's just different scales running around and everything. Yep, exactly what you're talking about. And then you kind of, as that noodles on for a little bit, right about 41 seconds, you get this awesome little scream that just kind of goes, yeah! And it just kind of kicks off the whole song, and it has that really good drive to it. It's like you are on a train, or you're on something, you're just on something and you're flying, basically. It feels good.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a party. Like, now we're rocking. The drums come in with that, and everything just kind of gets rocking and rolling, goes up to that next level. So it's kind of a cool way to kick off this album. Like, yeah, let's have a party now.
Yeah, and so this is going to be one of the first mentions that, right when he starts the first verse, this is going to be one of the first mentions I'm going to be mentioning about the rhythm tracks kind of throughout this thing. There's this great meld of the acoustic drums with the subtle hand claps in the back, and you just really recognize it in the first verse, and it just kind of cruises throughout. And you really listen to the hand claps. They are sharp. They're most recognizable in the left channel, but they are mixed in both channels more so. It's just that the guitar takes a little bit more on the right, but it just enhances that fullness in the rhythm.
I also like the vocals here. I think, like we said, this is the first non-English singer that we've done, and he's from Niger, so this might be Hausa. I don't know if it's Hausa or Arabic. I'm not quite sure. But either way, the vocals sound great, but I really like the call and response. You have Mdou singing and then trading lines with the backup, kind of going back and forth.
Yeah, that's going to be one thing that's kind of underrated around here is the vocal performance, in the sense that they accentuate it just perfectly during certain little runs where it's mostly his vocal that is just kind of like leading it, but they have great sporadic like pops in that background vocals, and they did fantastic.
At the end of verse 1 at 132, I liked just this little element here. There's this loud guitar strike, and it almost sounds like thunder kind of ushering in the storm, going into that post-verse where the guitar just starts ripping and roaring. But I just like that little element to kind of bring it to that next level without being something super obvious.
Yeah, and without really taking away from the song, it's really in there just to kind of enhance it just enough. Exactly. And it doesn't need to be anywhere else except for in that area.
At 224, we kind of get this first solo, the glimpse of the first solo. Yeah. And this is where I was talking about earlier, where initially this was just kind of hard to describe or relate to, because it's a sound that's so foreign to my ears. I'm not used to listening guitar in this style. And it's wild. It's all over the place. He's just doing a fantastic job playing. And I think the mixing on this solo is really good too, because the guitar sounds so distinct from all the other elements. There's great reverb and whatever other effects, because this is pretty heavily affected, but it all just comes together and creates this really pronounced, chimey kind of guitar that I really haven't heard before.
Oh yeah, this was This is kind of the way that I was thinking of this solo area was kind of more or less like how blues is evolving yet again, and almost it's a shredding blues, but there's a different quality to it, and you can really hear it in the early phrasing that he does, where it's not like true shredding, but yet he's still fast, he's still hitting a lot of notes. Just the great hammer and pick up with these notes, just absolutely wonderful. But if you also listen to the drumming pattern during the solo here, it's just really good. Just kind of like just cooking and booking with it. And I'm just loving how everything is cohesive in this moment, because once you really get sucked into the drums as well and allowing the guitar to kind of take off, man, you feel the bass even in that, and it's just absolutely wonderful trio.
Yeah, and at the end of that solo, it kind of turns into a jam a little bit around 3:13, and that's really when you can hear those drums. There's a sense of urgency to it. I don't think the speed changes, but it does feel more tense, a little more rushed, and you can just feel that like at the end of the jam before it kind of mellows out around 3:30.
Oh yeah, he's kicking in with some triplets there. I mean, he's bashing a little bit harder on that hi-hat. Definitely picks up. All right, Ringer, and then right before we get to the end of the song, right around 3:45, you kind of feel like Mdou is gonna, like, he's about to end the solo, but then he just really picks it right back up to finish that cycle. The really best part of this area, though, is I do feel like the bass truly comes alive here, and it kind of is lifted in the mix just a little bit. It circles around in your head and screams for your attention, but it still allows the guitar solo to be banging almost, and it's just really great. And it's part of that thing where I'm excited to see these people play live, because I guarantee you, just seeing that part, he's going to step out and he's just going to go a little bit more wacky with it.
Yeah, I think the bass guitar could be one of the unsung heroes of the live performance. I'm glad you called that out, because there's a few other points in this album where I really noticed the bass holding that groove down while the rest of the band just kind of flies off into nowhere and does their own thing, and the bass is just like there, just grooving, just doing its own thing, but everything just kind of centers around that bass. Yeah,
definitely. So for final thoughts for me, Ringer, I would say damn, very much I love this. This is the energy. The song encapsulates the beautiful guitar work, the great rhythm. This is a fucking amazing piece. It's kind of just like how Bombino exploded on the scene with Amidid off of Nomad on his opening track. This one is one that goes, I want more of it.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's just a really cool sound, and the song really lets the music do the talking here. Very minimal on the lyrics and the verses. It's just mostly grooving, and a great way to set this album off and really kind of serve as an introduction, for me at least, to Mdou Moctar, because I really haven't listened to anything else. So I think this is a great first song and a good first impression.